Let's start this module, CLIL module, dedicated to Picasso and Cubism with a quick overview of his life and style that Picasso has embraced in his long career. Further information can be found on the comments written on the screen. Let's start saying that Picasso will be part of the so-called Spanish avant-garde, not because they develop in Spain, but because they are composed of art by artists of Spanish origin. And in addition to Picasso, we find Dali and Miro. Picasso academic training should be underlined. The 20th century artist who has been least faithful to the academic teaching, however, will have an academic training that you see is summarized in this screen and in the following one. The first works are therefore very traditional subjects, such as science and charity, and often portraits of family members or self-portraits, a bit like Fattori in the Tuscan Macchiaioli happened. The style is also comparable. Now let's see some styles that have been characterized his career, and let's start with the Blue Period. This corresponds to a sad period of his career with economic difficulties in Paris that still does not recognize him and does not give him space to manifest his artistic vein. It is a period also characterized by the death of a dear friend with whom he shared an apartment in Montmartre. The shades are purely light and dark blue. The Rose period will follow from 1905, when he begins to have his first contacts with the commercial world of Parisian art. He will meet other artists, he will become passionate about the world of circus and especially his backstage. And his works are characterized by yellow and ochre and orange colors. During this period, he met important artists such as Matisse, other artists from the Fauves, and he also met Gertrude Stein, a Jewish patron of German origin who, together with his brother Leo, collected works by contemporary artists. All the major artists of the early 20th century passed through his living room. In this period, exhibitions of African art are frequent in Paris and highly appreciated by the artists of the time for their ability to synthesize faces, where African artists were able to outline the feature of a face with few signs. This but before seeing the beginning of Cubism, let's make a brief explanation of what is the concept behind this style. Picasso said, "Nature is one thing, painting another one." And his friend George Braque said, "One thing cannot be true and plausible at the same time." These two drawings help us understand. The cube on the left is likely cube in the sense we perceive, but in reality we only see three faces of the six that make it up. And these faces we see are distorted. In fact, they are trapezoids. The open cube in the center, on the other hand, is true because that is what a cube looks like. Six faces made up of squares. So much so that if we cut this shape, we can recompose a real cube. So the perspective vision we are used to is only likely, but do not represent reality. The decomposed cube, on the other hand, is true. However, we are not used to represent it like this. Cubists do a similar operation. That is, they break down the cube and present it to us analytically. The colored image on the right is a drawing of a child who not knowing the perspective creates a representation of a house that is true. It breaks down the parallelepiped on the house, but puts his faces on a plane. So at the end of the day, the children drawings are cubists. Having said that, you can understand that Ingres and Turkish bed and his Turkish bed we see on the right is plausible and realistic for us. Instead, Picasso offers us the Damoiselle d'Avignon in a single plane with a vision that does not correspond that our eyes have accustomed to. But we will deepen this work later. Here we have other examples of works of Braque, the colleague of Picasso. Together they invented this style, which consists of several moments, such as the analytic style that we see here, but I let you read the comment calmly. I just want to highlight the strong analogies with African mask that you can see here. Expressions can also be very different. The image on the left of 1909 is an image we could say realistic and plausible, while the image on the right on 1910 is almost abstract. Picasso could not have had the success he had without relations with the art dealers. Among all these, Ambroise Vollard is certainly the most important, the first with whom he has exhibited. For him and the other, he made the portrait we can see here. Synthetic cubism is another of the cubist expressions, and it is this period when the collage is introduced, which will later be used by various other artists contemporary to him. During the First World War, Picasso will not get involved too much because he was Spanish. During this period, he will create scenes for ballets organized by Russian producers. The ballets were not successful at all, but the scenes much more. After the trip to Italy, in Rome, after admiring Raphael's work, we witness a change of trends commonly called neoclassic period, characterized by these figures of shapely women who ran on the beach. Later, he will embrace surrealism for a short time, and we are in the 20s. Here we have some examples, but he will say that, however, this style cannot be only source of inspiration, as much saying, and in fact, he will pass from one style to another one, always experimenting new languages.